Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. Today's story is a North American tale, brought to us again by Charles Skinner. This is The Windham Frogs. On a cloudy night in July of 1758, the people of Windham, Connecticut were awakened by screams and shrill voices. Some sprang up and looked to the priming of their muskets, for they were sure that the Indians were coming. Others vowed that the voices were those of witches or devils flying overhead. A few ran out into the streets with knives and firearms, while others fastened their windows and prayerfully shrank under their bedclothes. A notorious reprobate was heard blubbering for a Bible, and a lawyer offered half of all the money that he had made dishonestly to any charity if his neighbors would guarantee to preserve his life until the morning. All night the greatest alarm prevailed. At early dawn an armed party climbed the hill to the eastward, and seeing no sign of Indians or other invaders, returned to give comfort to their friends. A contest for office was waging at that period between two lawyers, Colonel Dyer and Mr. Elderkin, and sundry of the people vowed that they had heard a challenging yell of "Colonel Dyer! Colonel Dyer!" answered by a guttural defense of "Elderkin too! Elderkin too!" Next day the reason of it all came out. A pond, having been emptied by drought, the frogs that had lived there emigrated by common consent to a ditch nearer the town, and on arriving they had apparently fought for its possession, for many lay dead on the bank. The night was still, and the voices of the contestants sounded clearly into the village, the piping of the smaller being construed into "Colonel Dyer," and the grumble of the bullfrogs into "Elderkin too." The frog scare, as it was called, was a subject of pleasantry directed against Windham for years afterward. And that is The Windham Frogs, a North American folktale brought to us by Charles Skinner. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere that you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio and TuneIn Radio. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every weekday morning. Thanks for listening.